What's going on, everybody? I watched a video the other day, and I've never had a harder time slowing my brain down about card collecting than that video. And I've been thinking about it, and I'm like, how can I do a response video? How can I share where I'm at? And I'm having a hard time finding the right way to explain my opinions on it and what to do. So it was a video from the High Pop Professor and Iconic Al, two great guys. Now, Iconic Al I've had on my channel, love Al, great guy. I know he and my buddy Darren have hung out a few times. And then Iconic Al's brother, the High Pop Professor, he started a channel not that long ago, and it's fantastic. The thing about them is we don't have a ton of overlap in what they collect and in what I collect. It's not one of those things where it's like we all collect the same thing, so we're like lockstep. We're like train tracks going down side by side. It's not like that, but their channels and their thoughts and their the way that they get my brain turning is fantastic, and I love it. And so they do a video together. I think they call it like Brothers Duo. I'll put a link in the description down below. And the thing about that video that is fantastic is they describe their collection not as so much a collection, as they describe it as something that they're curating. And they use the analogy of a bonsai tree. And a bonsai tree are those little trees, you know, like you saw in the Karate Kid, where you're just constantly kind of making little trimmings to it, and you're kind of snipping here and snipping there, and you're trying to shape it into this thing that you have as this vision of perfection for you. Now, my idea of the perfect collection or the perfect bonsai tree might be different than somebody else's. And that's the beauty of the hobby. And so, you know, I reached out to Al and I said, Al, this is one of the best videos I've seen in 6 months. I've never had my wheels spinning like this. And it was just really interesting. And I would really encourage you all to go check it out. And so when I reached out to Al, and, you know, again, I met both of them in person in Cleveland at the National. One of the things that has been fun is, for me, there's a fly in here. One of the things that's been fun for me is, as I get to know a person as an individual, the next thing that happens is it's fun to see their collection from afar. And I've learned a lot from a lot of different guys in the hobby. And so I just wanted to kind of get in here and ramble for a minute and just kind of share where I'm at with my collection. I literally, after watching that video, I went home that night and I put 4 or 5 cards up for sale. And the reason I put them up for sale is because, as they're talking about in the video, there are certain things that no longer fit your collection and other things that now start to fit your collection. And they use the analogy of, if there was a new branch off of the bonsai tree, what would the branch be? What would you be collecting? What would be the new area in which you'd go? What percentage of your collection is done? And are you 90% of the way through what you think you want your tree to look like, your collection to look like? I feel like I'm rambling, but again, it's one of these things where I just wanted to kind of share my thoughts on it. So they sent me a couple of questions for a Q&A, and I just wanted to kind of talk this out and maybe figure it out as I go. But the first question was, as a percentage, how complete is your collection in terms of volume? In terms of volume, I actually think my collection is bigger right now than it will eventually be. I have consolidated down. There are a lot of cards that I want that are on my to-get list that aren't currently in my possession. And there are a lot of cards out there right now that when I open my case, I go, that's going to be there long term. And these things won't be there long term. So then it's the question, if you know a card's not going to be there long term, why is it there now? Why is it there right now if it's not a forever card? Should you just, I feel like it's a good kind of process to continue go with those little snipper things along the bonsai tree like Mr. Miyagi did, where he's constantly making little tiny clips. Should we constantly be clipping little pieces that no longer fit what our vision is long term? Maybe, maybe not. But I think so. We buy cards and we say, oh, well, I like this card, so why would I get rid of it? If it's not a part of the long-term plan, why not cut it loose? Cut it loose and get things that are part of the long-term plan. So where is it in charge of, in terms of volume, where's my collection? I don't know. I don't really know what my collection will look like. It's one of those things where it's like going on a hike where there's a little deer trail and you don't really know what's going to be around the next bend. You don't know what view you'll see of the ocean when you go left, when there's a fork in the path. So where do you go if you don't know where it's going? I think that's the beauty, is you can go wherever you want. This is not one trail. If anybody says that they know where they're heading with their collection, it's like saying you know where you're heading with your career. A lot of us are going to have things happen that's going to adjust it. I don't think anybody's path is paved in asphalt. I think there's just several deer trails and you might veer off into one. And I think that's okay. The cards that you should hold on to, in my opinion, long term, are the cards that have a story and a special meaning, and the cards that you're certain are in the long-term plans. My question for my Monday video for this week is, have you been selling any cards? If so, what's the most recent card that you've sold? I think it's healthy to sell cards. I think it's healthy to cut the dead branch off of the tree. If that branch is no longer producing joy, then why not remove it? The second question was, as a percentage, how complete is your collection in terms of value? I have no idea. I have no idea how much money I'm going to put into my collection. All I know is, and maybe that's part of it too. I think I know what my bonsai tree is going to look like, but it might look completely different. Might end up being an olive tree. might end up being an oak tree. I don't even know what kind of tree it's going to be. I am open to the changes. What do you guys think about this whole process of continuing to trim the tree? What branches are going to sprout out next? And what branches just need to be removed? This got me, my head has been spinning. I put a few cards up for sale. I think it's a great question. And I think you should head over and check out their video. The first 30 minutes is fantastic. Check it out.